Alright, so we're here at the Victory Show. Alan, can you tell me a little bit about the vehicle that we're standing in front of?
Well, this is a replica of a Marder, which is a tank hunter. The Germans used the Czech chassis and mounted Pak 40 field guns on them. Right. Well, anti-tank guns, because they found that they were too heavy to manhandle. And they rushed these into service in Russia when they came up against the T-34s. And they did various patterns of them. The first pattern, they mounted Russian guns on that they'd captured. This was the second version that they made in Germany with their own guns. And then they made a later version where they moved all this to the rear, moved the engine forward, whereas this is the middle model. And actually they made more of these than any of the other variants.
So roughly how many did they make?
They made about 3,500 of these.
Okay.
Well, we don't really know, because what they were doing is bringing the knocked out tanks, which was a little 38T, they were bringing them back into Germany, taking the turrets off and the top and mounting them and making them up into Marders. So all the figures are from factory new, whereas they were actually remaking them from the knocked out tank. The gun mounting that we've got in here came from such a factory. It was brand new, dug out the ground. It had never been drilled, never been actually fitted in a Marder. And I had a choice of two.
Great. So what about the chassis? Where did that come from?
All the top part, all that, I made it.
Okay.
Yeah, I had it made.
And so the running gear and...
The running gear was with it. It wasn't working when I got it, but once we'd got our head around the gearbox, which is a Rolls-Royce designed gearbox. Okay. It's a Czech-designed tank. It's got a Rolls-Royce designed gearbox and drive system, and it's got a Swedish engine.
So yeah. How did the Swedes get involved? Being a neutral country.
Neutral, of course, yeah. I don't know how they got involved initially. Why were they making the engine for Czechoslovakia? I don't know.
Right.
But they were, and that's what it was. It was a petrol Scania engine. It's a petrol Scania engine, because if you speak to Scania, they go, no, we never make petrol engines. Oh, yeah, they do. Right. Oh, they did.
Right. All right, so we'll see you out there in the battle later on today then?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, so will I.
Thanks very much, Alan.
Okay.
That'll be good.
As Alan alluded to earlier, the need for what effectively became a tank hunter became rapidly apparent when German forces came up against the new Soviet T-34 and KV-1 tanks in 1941, after the invasion of the Soviet Union. Suddenly, the standard German anti-tank guns, often towed by horses or trucks, felt slow, vulnerable, and just not powerful enough to face the threat posed by these modern Soviet tanks. The German forces realised they needed something that could keep up with the Panzer divisions, something that could hit hard and then get out of the way. In other words, they needed a mobile solution, and fast. The brilliant and very German idea was to combine what they already had. Why build a whole new vehicle from scratch when you can mount a powerful gun on an existing reliable tank chassis? This concept of recycling gave birth to the Marder series. The Marder 1 was based on the chassis of the French 37L Lorraine, an artillery tractor and armoured personnel carrier. The Germans had acquired more than 300 units after the fall of France in 1940, and it made sense to utilise these vehicles. It wasn't a great success, but it did prove the concept. The more successful Marder II ingeniously repurposed the chassis of the older, somewhat outdated Panzer II light tank. By removing the turret and building a new open-topped fighting compartment, the Germans could fit a much larger weapon. This gave them a nimble tank destroyer that could be produced quickly and deployed effectively. It wasn't perfect, as the armour was thin and the crew was exposed, but it was exactly what the Wehrmacht needed at that time, a quick, mobile punch. Then, in 1942, the evolution continued with the arrival of the Marder III. This version was a significant upgrade, often built on the chassis of the Czech-made Panzer 38T, which was known for its mechanical reliability. But the real game-changer for the Marder III was its armament. It was equipped with the legendary 75mm PaK-40 anti-tank gun. This gun was a true monster, capable of knocking out almost any Allied tank it faced, even at long ranges. Imagine being a tank crew and seeing this low-profile silhouette in the distance. You knew you were in for a serious fight. The Marder III came in two major variations. The Ausf H, as seen here, with the engine in the rear of the chassis and the gun in the middle, and the Ausf M, with the engine in the middle and the gun at the rear. Each variation was an attempt to maximise the crew layout, protection, and combat efficiency of the vehicle. The open-topped design remained a major drawback, leaving the crew vulnerable to artillery, air attacks, and even infantry. It was a trade-off, immense firepower and mobility in exchange for crew protection. These vehicles were ambush predators, designed to fire from concealed positions and then quickly relocate. They weren't meant for frontline brawls like a Tiger tank. Despite its flaws, the Marder was a formidable opponent and a vital part of the German war machine, serving on all fronts from the brutal cold of Russia to the scorching deserts of North Africa. It perfectly illustrates the German principle of adapting and improvising to meet new threats on the battlefield. It wasn't the biggest or the toughest, but the Marder was a clever, deadly and essential piece of the puzzle that allowed German forces to counter the ever-increasing numbers of Allied armour. It truly was the little tank destroyer that could. What do you think about the Marder's design philosophy? Was it a stroke of genius or a desperate measure? Let us know in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this quick look at the Marder, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.